She's pretty, but right now she pukes water everywhere. You try to turn it on because the water pump took shit. And it sprayed water all over the inside of the engine bay, so that was fun. First things first is you gotta take that fan shroud out. 6 10mm bolts. And then there's like a wire running across the top of it. You kind of just flop that out of the way. There's a little hose for the charcoal canister shit. You kind of unhook that off the side of it. I mean, if you even have that junk anymore, but at this point, a lot of you have probably ripped that shit right out of there. But this truck is still original. It's still there. Anyways, I just took a 16mm wrench and pulled the tensioner back and popped the belt off, because that would be the next step. Then we gotta take the fan off. And after we take the fan off, then we can address the heater core line that comes out the top of this water pump. That looks like it's gonna be fun. And after that, we can move on to actually removing the water pump, which shouldn't be too incredibly terrible, I hope. So that's where we're at. I'll grab the camera and show you what this looks like, you know, in here. All right, little itty bitty 4.3. So anyways, I pulled this fan shroud off and look at the top of the radiator. Apparently there was some mud wasps or ground bees or whatever you want to call them have built themselves a little nest on top there, and then when you look down in there, they built themselves a little nest right on the front. Now this truck, when I bought it, had been sitting for like a year or two in a barn. The guy tried to put a starter in it and didn't know what he was doing and shorted it out, hooked it up backwards. Yeah. Anyways, I got it. I put a starter in it. I found the relay for the starter that was bad and swapped that out, and she fired right up, and I've been driving it ever since. We do have a V8 for it. This winter, it's supposed to get the LS. We're keeping the NV 3500 5-speed transmission, but we also got a 4.6 lowering kit for it. Yeah, that's the plan for this winter. But right now, let's get a water pump swapped into this thing so that I can keep driving it, because I do enjoy driving it, even though it is a 4.3. So, yeah, see this little coolant down there? Good times. Anyways, like I said, pulled the belt off, and we're going to move on to these nuts down here to get this fan out of the way. And then we're going to have to address that heater core line. I'm not entirely sure. It looks like it's a push-in maybe, and pop the clip out, maybe pop it out of there. Maybe it's that easy. Maybe it's not. We're going to find out momentarily. Here we go. All right, well, with hindsight being 20/20, as you saw there in the time lapse, I put the belt back on because the belt keeps this pulley from moving so you can actually take the nuts off of it. Should have thought about that beforehand. You know, kind of works like a strap wrench. You could wrap the pulley around it and put a pair of vice grips or a clamp or something on it, but I mean, it's all still here. So I just threw the belt back on quick, which put tension on the pulley enough that I could take those 13mm nuts off of that in order to get the fan and the pulley off. I don't know if you can hear that. Sure, you can see it wobbling. Smoked. All right, I gotta get this little radiator hose off. I gotta figure out how to get this off, and then we can take the bolts out and rip this thing off of here. Yay! As you can tell, my mood is fantastic today. Like most of you, I have a day job. I don't really like it that much, but you gotta have one of those things to pay the bills, to take care of the family, to do the things that you want to do. Yeah. And then you come home and fix broken shit. I think they call that the American dream or something like that. It's so much more fun under build back shit here. This is great. All right, so we got the heater core line out. I took the tensioner off to get some room there. The tensioner is 15mm. This little bracket goes on the back of the compressor here for the air conditioning. That was a 14 millimeter nut. This, there is a clip on here. You should be able to push this in and get the clip out, but I was fighting with it, and this truck came from down south, so the plastic and stuff's brittle. I didn't really want to break it. So I was able to put a crescent wrench on it and spin it. Hopefully it didn't mess up the O-ring inside. If it did, it'll leak. It's probably gonna leak. But maybe not. Maybe we'll get lucky, put it back together, and it won't leak. Put a little thread dope on this, we'll screw it into the new one, and we will hope for the best. But at this point, we gotta pop that hose off, get that thing out of there. All right, that's out of there. And by some miracle of God, the gaskets came out with the water pump and left the surfaces completely clean. I know, it's crazy, right? Took the big channel locks, popped that hose off. The bolts that hold this in were 14 millimeter, but of course, the new pump didn't come with fan studs. So now we gotta get these studs out of here, and usually how you do this is you just double nut these bad boys. Might have to hold it from spinning with the channel locks or something, but should be able to just double nut these. I won't be able to do it holding the camera, but I'll give you an idea here. Double nut, tighten the nuts together. So tighten this bottom one up to this, and then you should be able to grab this bottom one and spin the studs right out. Hopefully that works. We'll find out here in a second. All right, new pump is in. As you can see, the double nut trick worked. We got all 4 studs out. They're in the new pump. The pump did come with gaskets. It was a Gates pump, I believe. Yes, it's a Gates pump. It was like 21 bucks on Rock Auto. It did come with the gaskets. So new gaskets, thread sealer on the bolts. The bolts are back in and tight. Thread sealer on this fitting. That's back in. Hopefully the O-ring doesn't leak. That's going to be our hopes and dreams up there. But at this point, it's time to put the pulley and fan and whatnot back on, get the belt back on this thing, get the tensioner back on, and then finish her up. I don't have any coolant with me, so we won't check for leaks till tomorrow. All right, well, I just dumped a gallon of coolant in it. There's no air bubbles or nothing coming up, which is kind of weird, but nothing seems to be, whoa, focus. Nothing seems to be leaking yet. So, I mean, that's good, right? Let's squeeze this hose, see what happens. Oh, the pressure's moving in the bottle over there. I guess we gotta start it up, see what happens. All right, it's running. This thing's always kind of idled high. I've tried to adjust it, but I mean, throttle body. Oh, I wonder what that plug right there is for that I just noticed is unplugged. That's weird. Anyways, it runs. I don't know what that's for. That's really weird. There's a couple of plugs there that aren't plugged in. That one's not plugged into anything. That one's not plugged into anything. This whole thing here is just kind of dangling. Apparently that's probably supposed to be hooked to something. I don't know. Huh, weird. They must have changed something they changed something at some point in time. But it runs and I drive it every day, so I'm not gonna mess with it. Like I said, she's getting a V8. We're not that worried about it. It's not taking much more water. That tank's still significantly higher than it should be. I guess we take it for a ride. Alright, we're, I don't know, about 130 degrees or so. So, gotta go a little bit more more to get that thermostat to open up. Get her to take some water. She's warming up though. Warming up pretty quickly actually. Thermostat should open any second here. As long as it doesn't have too much air trapped in it. Okay, we're at 210. Come on, thermostat. Come on. Come on, thermostat. Open up. We're running about 220 right now, which is warmer than I think it's ever ran. So, come on. Open up, thermostat. Alright, we're getting kind of warm here. I don't like that one bit. We don't have a trail of coolant behind us, and there's no white clouds, so that's nice. But there will be if I don't get the temperature down here. I think we got some air trapped in it. Figured out what I did wrong. I put the coolant in here. That's just the overflow tank. That bottom line here runs up to here. That's not gonna fill anything. So cool, neat trick. I need to put coolant in here. There's hardly any coolant in there. That's why it just got warm. So let's try this again. I don't know what I was thinking. Mistakes were made. Luckily, we didn't hurt anything. Oh, and I did actually forget to tighten the fan bolts. Why didn't you guys tell me to tighten the fan bolts? Jeez. I put some coolant in this thing. Who wants to see a neat trick? So, like I said, I put the coolant in there, right? So it's in there. It's not in there. I need to get it from there to there. I'll just go like this. Air gun. Meat hole. Ta-da! More than one way to skin a cat. Alright, now that we actually filled the system with coolant, because I'm special, and the fan's tight, alright, where'd my flashlight go? Leak check. Ignore the stuff I spilled. Nothing appears to be dripping. What about this heater core line? Nothing coming out of that. That looks good. Okay. Let's try this test drive again. Okay. She seems to like it. No, it's running better. I don't know what coolant has to do with that, but it does seem to be running better. Which is weird, but then again, she's old. 200 right now. This is the odometer reading. 255,557. 255,557 miles and 8/10. Good truck. Back when Chevy actually made good trucks. I don't know what it is with these new ones. These new ones are ugly. What were they thinking? I don't know. Temperature's holding now. We're at right about 130-ish. Doesn't seem to be climbing any. This road's only 45. I don't really want to give it the beans. Gotta get down a little bit further past these houses. Maybe we'll open her up, see if we can get it warmer. Gear ratio on these NV3500s is kind of weird. fifth gear. Right now we're doing 52, and we're in third. The speedometer is a little bit off with these sportier tires on it. It's about off by about 4 or 5 miles per hour. So at 50, we're probably actually doing 45. Whatever. So 50 miles an hour. The temperature has just creeped over 130, probably in the 140 range. Let's pick up the pace a little bit here, see if we can get some heat in this engine. We're just gonna leave it in third gear. About 3,000 RPM. Man, it helps when you actually put coolant in the radiator itself. It really, that's the right way to do it, I guess. Pretty sure this Jeep just passed me 2 seconds ago, but let's pass him again. Oh, a little early on first. Red line. There's fourth gear. We're doing 70. Temperature's holding. Hasn't moved. About 140 degrees, 150 degrees. Of course, this gauge is kind of weird. That might be like in the 160th range, which is probably where the thermostat opens. So maybe that's why we're just hanging out at like 160. It's weird. It goes 100, and then there's a dash, and there's 210. But we're not overheating. We're not even close to overheating. Not even in the ballpark of overheating. Town guy's working on something. Boom. That's it. All back together. Total time was about an hour and a half. And I didn't use any power tools. It was just wrenches and ratchets. I mean, it is a 4.3, so there's a ton of room up here to work. It's not exactly hard to work on. Obviously, the V8 model of this with the 350 or the 305, probably a little bit tighter, but it should be pretty much the same. Can't imagine they're too much different. A 4.3 is just a small block with 2 cylinders cut off. So, yeah, that's it. Water pump, 95 OBS, 4.3, in and out, quick and easy. These old ones are the best, man. There's not a bunch of shit to mess with. It's so much easier to work on these older trucks and older cars for that matter, really. But yeah, this thing's got she's a pretty girl for sure. And once we slam her down, 4 and 6, we put this, which one is it? I think it's this one underneath here. I think is the 4.8. Maybe not. Nope, that one's the 6 liter. This one's the 4.8. Yeah, get that 4.8 in there. That'll make a big difference. Yeah, I know you're thinking, 4.8, why a 4.8? The NV 3500 transmission is only rated for like 230 foot-pounds of torque or something like that, maybe even 250. But it's not a ton, okay? It's not rated for a lot of torque. So putting the 6 liter in there, bad idea. That tranny won't last. Not to mention that this truck odometer reads like 255,000. I know that's hard to believe because of how pretty she is, but she came from North Carolina. She was originally purchased at Dale Earnhardt Chevrolet. So she's got a special place in my heart because of that. 4.8 NV 3500, we should be good. Like I said, I drive this truck, okay? I drive this thing to work. She's got some dings and dents if you really look down the side of it. I know it looks pretty good on camera, but she's got a few little nicks and dings and stuff because she's been driven. Like I said, the odometer is reading 255. This truck's been around the block a few times. We're going to dress her up a little bit, but we're not going to go crazy because, like I said, I drive it. I plan on driving it. That's why we're doing the 4.8. You know, maybe in the future we'll get crazy and throw a turbo on it or something and see if we can break some shit. But for right now, I just want a really nice truck that I can drive to work, you know, drive every day except for the winter. You know, I pretty much drive this thing right up until it snows outside. You know, as soon as I think they're going to put salt in the road, I stop driving. But, I mean, look at this. A little dirty for my feet, but I mean, I drive this thing. Look at that. Headliner's not even drooping. A little crack in the dash up there, and it needs to be cleaned really bad. But overall, the interior on this thing is in really nice shape. It's a beautiful truck. And somebody stuck that stupid thing on there. That's coming off. And we're going to roll pan it. We'll get rid of this big back bumper. And, you know, we're going to have some fun with it. See? So, yeah. We're going to have a good time with this truck. Be a daily driver, 4.8, 5-speed. It'll be a lot of fun. You know, I'm a little leery on the 4.6 drop just because of rideability, drivability. I was thinking of 2.4, but then I'm looking at pictures. I'm like, I don't think 2.4 is enough. 3.5's a little, they don't really make a lot of kits for 3.5. So we're just going to go straight to the 4.6 drop. If 6 seems like it's too much, because I hate when the back of these trucks are lower than the front. It just looks terrible. So we'll do the 4 in the front. We'll do the 6 in the back. If the 6 in the back is too low, I will take the blocks out and have my dad machine an inch off of them to give it, you know, the same rake basically that it has now. We just want to go down. Yeah, this is my baby. I had one just like this that was a Vortec 350. This one's a 95. The one I had before was a 98. But it was literally the same color. Same color, same wheels. But that one was dropped, was lowered. And that, unfortunately, was a New York truck. And it was getting pretty rusty. The cab corners were starting to pop. Across the top of the front windshield was starting to pop. So I sold that truck a few years ago. And I have missed it ever since. So when this one popped up, and I saw, you know, the Dale Earnhardt, you know, Chevrolet badge on the back of it, knew that it was from North Carolina, went and looked at it. And I mean, even under the engine bay there when I was showing you, you can see how clean this thing is. I had to buy it. I couldn't pass it up at the price it was at. Like I said, it didn't run when I got it. It didn't run. You know, the kids swore that it ran and everything else, but it didn't run. I was able to get them down to, I think I paid $3,000 for it when I bought it. So, I mean, I stole it. It is only a 4.3, but $3,000 up here in New York, a truck like this, that's a good deal. That's a really good deal. So, yeah, this is my baby. If you guys haven't seen her before, we're gonna work on this thing this winter. Not so much race car stuff. I mean, we'll probably do a little bit of race car stuff. I'm sure some guys are gonna want me to put cages and stuff in. So we'll deal with that. And my car hopefully makes it to the end of the season in good shape. Hopefully we can get her back where she needs to be. And then at the end of the season, we'll park her for the winter, wrap her up good, you know, for the winter. And then we'll pull her out in the spring a little bit early and probably hammer the body out on it. But this thing, we're going to see this thing more on the channel. This thing will be back. We're going to do a lot of stuff to this truck. I mean, the 4.6 drop means we got to C-notch this thing. So we're going to C-notch it. We got to flip the axle. You know, there's spindles, springs in the front. We got some stuff going on, plus the swap. And I'm not sure what we're doing on the swap yet. I might try to do my own harness. Probably not. I hate electrical, but we'll talk through that when we get to it. There's a couple of videos on guys actually doing this exact swap, and there's a lot of information. I've actually ordered a shit ton of parts. They're in the back, clutches and all kinds of stuff to do this swap, motor mounts, you know, pretty much everything. There's only a couple of things we don't have to do the swap. When I broke my hand there back in the winter, that stopped us from doing it last winter. But yeah, this thing, we're gonna see a lot more of this thing on the channel, and I'm happy I got this water pump done. I gotta go pick up some antifreeze so I can actually fill it back up and get her back on the road. That's it for this episode. We actually had some content here these last couple weeks. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, it wasn't planned content, but either way, you guys get content and maybe learn some stuff, I hope. Glad I can help when I do. As usual, keep it creative and happy building.